Appreciate our fans.
We do appreciate our fans, our hardy boys and girls. So we'll talk about you at UT, you and
at BG,
you and 8 of your best friends, and me and 24,000 of my best friends,
23,000,
and one cat who they lifted up. They
like
lifted
Simba.
up. It was like Simba or like the scene in Groundhog Day. Pudge the cat was out there with the university president.
Was that your first time seeing him in person?
Pudge the cat or Eddie George? I'd seen Eddie. I've never seen Pudge the cat.
You get a photo of Pudge?
My heart was a
You get a photo of Pudge with Pudge?
So I didn't get a photo with Pudge, but I got a great photo of Pudge being lifted by his vet accompaniment, who they have now, lifted above the crowd.
You know what's one of the more tired sports traditions? A lot of people, played off the Lion King and raising of the baby, especially at the Lions game, raising the cub as they're playing the Lion King song.
All this will be yours.
But it's gone on to non-Lion stadiums. I think they even do it at Mud Hens games. And it's also just kind of grown tired. Like everyone, there's like a drunk guy holds up his drunk adult friend, and everybody has a good laugh. But maybe that jumped shot a couple years ago. But still fun, not complaining.
I think people just like to lift up their kids. And they just like the Lion King music. Oh. Then we'll go out to Madison, Wisconsin.
Yep.
Where Luke Fickell, former Buckeye great, is embarrassed by his team. Julian Sayin, he sets a bunch of personal high marks. Again, they just look like a deforestation machine.
Yeah.
And then what's Michigan doing?
Michigan had a big win over Washington.
But where are they going?
Where are they going this week?
Yeah.
They're playing at Michigan State. It's the NBC
rivalry.
The big rivalry game, yeah.
Nice.
They have a very manageable schedule. The next 4 games should win them all. Michigan State's just kind of they're ready to fire their coach. Seems like every school, or about half the schools in the country, are ready to fire their coach. Another Black Sunday for college football yesterday. Billy Napier loses his job, among others. But yeah, no, I mean Michigan has a very manageable schedule here. Should operative word. Who the heck knows what could happen in college football? But Michigan should be 9-2 going into the Ohio State game with playoff stakes.
I thought the Browns are going to get Mike McDaniel fired. He might be fired while we're recording this show.
Possibly.
Okay. The heart of the rivalry is the Blades college football show that covers the programs of Ohio State, Michigan, Bowling Green, and the University of Toledo. And we are brought to you by Renewal by Andersen, the window replacement experts backed by over 120 years of quality and craftsmanship. From consultation to installation, Renewal by Andersen makes upgrading your home easy, beautiful, and worry-free. We are also brought to you by Dale's Bar and Grill in Maumee. Whether you're looking for a table for the whole family or just a bar stool to watch the game, Dale's has you covered with a full menu of sandwiches, wraps, and salads. Combine that with 21 beers, and Dale's has something for everyone. I know it was you and everyone at the Glass Bowl on Saturday. He's columnist Dave Briggs. I am photographer Phil Kaplan. And you know what I love about a big stadium that's empty is when you hear the calls from the coaches echo off of the the bleacher seats. Was it that kind of quiet? Could you hear conversations?
I don't know if it was that kind of quiet. Probably about at least 10,000 people in the stands. You still have the marching band. You still have the booming music. So, but yeah, no, I mean, I wrote in my column, the absence of fans said a lot. So did Toledo's resilience after falling behind 10-0. Look at all the teams we've seen in maybe similar boat, just kind of the wheels completely fall off the wagon. Toledo gets down. They gave up a 75-yard touchdown pass on the first play of the game.
I saw that.
They did not have less life in the stadium. They go 3-and-out. Kent State goes up 10-0. Toledo goes 3-and-out again.
You had to be worried.
You're starting to wonder. Toledo, Jason Candle would never lose the locker room in the traditional sense. The culture is too strong. Players like playing for him. It's just, it's not that kind of program where you would worry about that. But human nature is human nature. These are 18 to 22-year-old kids. If things start going poorly, you never know what could happen. So I did think all things were on the table. So credit the response. Talking about the crowd, I think it hits on a lot of dynamics in Toledo, including with competing against Ohio State and Michigan. Obviously, you have the lesser opponent in Kent State. Competing against Ohio State and Michigan is difficult. As we've mentioned a lot, obviously Toledo can kind of feel like a stranger in its own backyard sometimes. I actually just went to Churchill's for lunch, one of my favorite area places, and the big flags at the front of the stores, Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame. There's nothing with Toledo, the hometown team.
Yeah.
And you go into the department stores and it's just Ohio State, Michigan, everything. And obviously it's a source of frustration, and I get it.
Everybody who is a UT fan, and to the same extent a BG fan, is also primarily a Ohio State, Michigan, or Notre Dame.
Right. And there's a lot of people who are primarily Toledo fans, but that maybe that connection to the university has faded over the years a little bit. I think Brian Blair and his staff have done a great job kind of emphasizing that connection and creatively trying to connect the university to the community and showing, when everybody works together, that's a powerful thing for this community. But all that being said, at the end of the day, you just have to win. I mean, this is a few years ago during Maction when Toledo was rolling off that 11-1 season in the national polls. It had cold November games where it was a really good scene. Way more fans than I felt were at the game on a postcard perfect Saturday afternoon at the Glass Bowl Saturday.
It was nice.
So you just have to win. I kind of wrote, can they win the fans back? Yeah, just keep winning, keep looking good, give fans a reason to believe. Right now, natural disappointment. I think they kind of sucked the air out of the season with those, given the expectations, with those 2 road meltdowns. But I guess this was a small first step in courting back the locals. So good response.
Well, in the opposite end of the spectrum, both on and off the field, I was at the BG game, and they welcomed in Central Michigan, who hung it on them basically by the end of the day. A 27-6 defeat. There would be no 21-point comeback in the cards for the Falcons. Like I said, we did see Pudge the Cat, but ton of penalties, 15 penalties, bunch of personal fouls, unsportsmanlike conducts. That was tough. Some tipped passes that get run back almost for scores. You're one almost for a score. So that was tough, but the people were there to party, Dave. They were dressed in the Halloween spirit, but also just the Falcon spirit. Both big bands in attendance. BG's band is huge, and they were rocking the whole
Central
time.
had their band there?
They did.
Wow.
They did. They did.
Cool.
Everybody's there for Eddie and Pudge, and also the football team.
Oh, yeah.
And the breaks just didn't go their way. And you know what, though? And like the opposite of what you're talking about, the fans hung into it for a long time before the stadium really started clearing out. Because, it's a spectacle. Eddie George's team, I think he wants to be more disciplined. Who wouldn't say that after 15 penalties? But the season's already a win. They get Kent State, who Toledo just romped.
8.5-point favorites.
Yeah, I mean they've got some pretty sound players. That game just got away from them, and the penalties were crazy. Now they also ran the classic ill-advised fake punt.
Yeah, okay.
That effectively works as a turnover. So there's just a ton of stuff like that.
Yeah, I did see the crowd. There's no denying it. Bowling Green is having a moment against Liberty. They have their biggest crowd in 10 years earlier this season. They sell out the Toledo game, even bigger than the Liberty crowd, and then 23,000 plus against Central Michigan.
All that orange, sun splashed. Everybody's wearing sunglasses.
I think it was family
80 degrees
weekend.
down on the field.
Great scene. Looked awesome. Just watching a little bit of on TV. But yeah, it was looked a little bit like Toledo last week with their lack of discipline. Toledo 13 penalties in the rivalry game. Toledo, to their credit, really cleaned it up. Only 3 penalties for 15 yards this week. To go back, I thought Toledo really played with discipline and pride and purpose, all that jazz. Bowling Green, I was a little concerned for this game, although I did pick Bowling Green to grind out a win. If I were a Bowling Green fan, I would have been a little concerned by the pep rally they had on Monday. Like, I got the media alert on Monday, and I'm all for just leaning into the moment. I mean, it's
activations.
Right. The momentum is going, and just go all in. But I got the media alert, Eddie George and the marching band and the football team is is going to be in the middle of campus, just kind of celebrating the big win over Toledo. And, people were getting pictures with Pudge and pictures with Eddie George, and they're handing out food. And it was just kind of a weird thing to have in a game week. Like, I can't fault them for doing it, because you got to ride Eddie George, you got to ride Pudge the Cat,
and
you got to ride these huge wins, and you're connecting with your students in a really cool way, and that counts for a lot. But solely for winning that football game on Monday, I don't know if that was the best strategy. And either way, it would have been human nature to have a letdown after such a huge win. So maybe that had nothing to do with it. I just thought it was I would be conflicted about that if I were a coach, and everything you say about staying in the moment. But yeah, I don't know what to make. BG is kind of. If you had told me they were going to be 3-3, I would have said that's unlikely. 3-4, maybe that's a little more on track. So maybe we're back on the reality train here a little bit. But yeah, the reality is there's 50 new players, a staff thrown together in March, and they're playing a backup quarterback. I don't know how. I saw Anderson's numbers, but they are very limited what they can do offensively with a sophomore quarterback who's kind of thrown in unexpectedly there. He's going to continue to get better. But
I like him. He had some bad breaks, and Lucian Anderson III, with respect to the previous two Lucian Andersons, a little Browns-esque with your 23 completions for 160 yards or whatever that is. But also Browns-esque bad breaks, just some tough breaks, bounces of the ball, that didn't go your way. But from a photographer's point of view, he stands in the pocket tall. He throws a pretty pass.
That's all you can ask.
Like that. You like that.
And he winks at the camera after completing a pass, right?
Well, I don't publish those. Those are for the personal scrapbook. So speaking of teams, though, the impenetrable to a letdown, the Ohio State Buckeyes, are they AI? They just go out and grind out another 34-0 win at Wisconsin, seemingly What would you say the mistake is that Ohio State made in that game if you're the coach? What are we working on?
Well, I think Sagan would be at 16 completions. So, and they did let Wisconsin across the 50-yard line for 9 plays. Wisconsin only had 6 plays across 6 yards on those 9 plays.
Got to clean up some stuff.
Got to clean it up a little bit. Stuff. I think they settled for a first quarter field goal, so it was only 17-0. I never get a prediction right, but this is exactly what I predicted. Ohio State would have its way with Wisconsin, but not pour down old friend Luke Fickell. Ohio State probably could have won this game 75-80 to nothing if it truly wanted to.
I feel like if they were going to win this game 80 to nothing, they'd say we're going to win this game 80 to nothing, and then they'd score 20 points each quarter. Just like they just are seemingly unflappable.
Absolutely, that would be baller or boss, as the kids say. Nobody says that. But yeah. So
they want Luke Fickell gone up in Bachelor.
Did you see he actually got a vote of confidence today from their athletic director, who fans also want fired? Basically saying, like, we're gonna continue to support Luke Fickell, and we just need to invest more money into this program. So basically, they're saying all the fans want Luke Fickell fired, but we need you to now donate more money to support the coach and athletic director you all want fired. So I'm not sure how that's going to work, but
he's had success at other programs.
Oh, he's a good coach.
Yeah,
he's had success at Ohio State as a coordinator.
Absolutely,
he had great successes in Cincinnati.
Yeah,
best football coach they've ever had, at least taking them to the heights of a playoff. That's unbelievable. Final Four, sure. And
so is this we're playing our 5th string quarterback situation?
No, I think there's fundamental deficiencies in the program. They don't have first of all, his biggest first mistake was hiring Phil Longo as his offensive coordinator when he got there 3 years ago, and they kind of went to the air it out mode, and that's against the kind of the cheese eating brawny ethos of Wisconsin. We're just going to maul you and win the line of scrimmage, and they kind of wanted to spread it out. And there was an argument there that maybe Wisconsin's always been good, or at least the last 30 years, consistently a top 15, top 20 program. there was a sense that while that style of play, just kind of beating your brains in on the line of scrimmage, was always going to win, maybe it wasn't going to be the thing that can get you over the top, but they completely got away from their identity. They tried to go back to it this year, and they just don't have the talent. So I think they don't have the right Wisconsin doesn't have the right coach. They don't have the right investment. They don't have the right alignment. They don't have the fan support. Pretty much all around bad situation right now. And Ohio State was nice to only score 34 points, because even Iowa scored more points against Wisconsin last week. So if that's a point of concern, Iowa scored more points than you against Wisconsin last week. That should be stairs every day of the week for Ohio State.
Penn State loses again. God, what a free fall for their fan base.
Penn State, Ohio State still picked for Big Noon today, though.
I'm going. I will be there to watch Penn State restart its program.
Yep.
Okay. And then, all the talent and, I think what a lot of Michigan people think is the right coach. But Michigan takes care of business against Washington. Nice bounce back for them.
Yeah. There was a lot of noise around Sherman Moore. I mean, especially
early. He wore this jacket.
Well, I mean, just around
his name on it.
Around whether he is the guy for the job.
I know.
The USC manhandling first half looks pretty iffy on Saturday, but to their credit, they get 2 big interceptions. They shut down Washington and its dynamic offense. Michigan's missing one of the top running backs in the country, and Justice Haynes, so they got the ground game going even without him. So a lot of things to grind out a win against a pretty good team. That was encouraging for Michigan. And again, like I said, very manageable schedule coming up, beginning with the trip to Michigan State on Saturday.
Rivalry game. Throw the records out.
And not this week.
Maybe not. Blade blue smock.
Okay, nice.
Blue sports shorts. Have a Blade hat on.
Love it.
I only got reprimanded by BG field officials on 3 separate occasions.
Really? What were you doing wrong? I mean,
standing in the wrong place, doing the wrong stuff, smoking, smoking.
Drinking.
While you're sitting up in the stands, I'm smoking under them. Okay, this is the chance for Dave Briggs to flex his prognostication and ball-knowing knowledge, as rather than looking into the mirror of the past, he gazes into the crystal soup of the future, and we look ahead to some football games. What's the most exciting game on the docket? And that's the one you're going to. Ohio State's off. BG gets Kent State, and Toledo gets... Kent State is at BG.
BG's at Kent State. And you're shooting it.
I'm not going to Kent State.
You are. Jeremy told me.
Can't read, can't write.
I told Jeremy.
Kent State. Descriptive visual information.
Because you could just show like a completely empty section. And it's like, I don't really know what that shows. It's empty seats.
Well,
you need to show like it's actually at a football game.
One of my favorite things to do is when I get a mistake order.
Yeah.
And the thing hasn't arrived. And they say, send us a picture of your problem.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I'm going to send you a picture of me pulling the hair. All right, Dave. So you're following the University of Toledo out to play Washington State. This is not the Apple Cup, but a battle between the Cougars and the Rockets. Washington State is the one of 2 remaining Pac-2. Are we calling it the Pac-2?
The Pac-2. They're in first place.
Okay, good.
I think they're 3 and 4, but they are in first place. I'm actually going out to visit a friend who lives out that way. And,
a Coug alum?
No, but there actually is somebody I know who's a Cougars alum, a Washington State husband, and a Toledo wife. So it's an interesting
nice.
combo.
They giving you any perspective?
No, I was told I maybe should do a story on them, but circumstances change with the story schedule. But anyway,
love this peek under the hood of the journalist mind.
Not a super exciting week on the local docket. Ohio State's off. Michigan's playing Michigan State. That normally would be exciting. I just don't see Michigan State just kind of dead program walking here, and BG at Kent State. That could be closer than you might think. I actually think it will be a good game, but Toledo at Washington State. This was a game before the year. You kind of circled as one of their biggest tests. Washington State is well. First of all, it's an interesting series. Brian Blair, the athletic director at Toledo. The reason they're playing there is because he's a former deputy AD at Washington State and just kind of had the connection.
May surprise you to know I didn't know that.
And they made a home and home arrangement. So Washington State's going to be coming to the Glass Bowl in a few years. The stadiums are actually pretty similar sized. I believe Washington State's Martin Stadium, if it's not the smallest in the Power 5 conferences, at least when Washington State was in the Power 5 conferences, it's very close. I believe it's 32,000. Glass Bowl can fit 32,000 if they're packed in there with a standing room crowd. So the crowd won't be intimidating, but yeah, it's an interesting game. Like we said, Pac-2, they are in first place
ahead of Oregon State.
Yeah, they've had some ups and downs. They lost a home game 59-10 to North Texas. That was probably the low light. The last 2 weeks, though, they've showed a lot. They've taken Ole Miss and Virginia to the wire, back-to-back cross-country road trips against top teams. So Toledo will have its hands full. I think another game, we'll find out a lot about Toledo. Can they get something going in the second half, or are they going to fall to 4-4 and just kind of be back where we were a week ago with no real momentum here? So,
couple 1,000-mile road trip.
I'm interested.
If you get a Power 4 win, even if it's it's apples to apples comparison.
Yeah. Well, they're not a Power 4 team anymore.
They're not
XP4. But it still has the P4 brand name.
I think it would just
Power 5 brand
I think
name.
it would get some of the bad taste of those tough losses.
For sure.
Okay, I look forward to that. You mentioned Virginia. I watched that Virginia comeback. Did you happen to see any of that?
Oh, on the CW?
Yeah.
And that's what the game's going to be. I think Toledo's it's going to be Toledo, Washington State at 3:30 Eastern Time, followed right by NASCAR. So,
who's had
I think there might be Live Golf. No, I don't know. But I think it's bull riding, Toledo, Washington State, NASCAR, back to back on CW on Saturday. So that's quite the combo. I believe that's the first.
I have a relative who was a professional bull rider out in Billings, Montana.
Oh my goodness!
But then I also wanted to drop on you the little bit of Washington State knowledge I have, which is that Ryan Leaf calls games, I believe, on the CW.
Okay.
And he's pretty good.
Very
I don't know if people would have seen Ryan Leaf as somebody who would end up being in the booth.
Yeah. And Washington State's the famous school with the flag in the background of every game day for the past forever number of years. So
I love that.
I don't think game day is going to Pullman for this one. I can't be sure.
Doesn't Washington State call themselves? Don't they have a funny nickname? Like the Virginia Cavaliers call themselves the
Yahoos.
The Hoos. Yeah. Aren't they? Isn't Washington State like the Sukies or something?
Yeah. I'm drawing a blank here. The Cougs.
Well, listen.
Yeah.
I got to read these two sponsors here. Why don't you get on the phone? You try to look that up real quick.
All right.
Part of the Rivalry's research and development department and the show at large is brought to you by Dale's Bar and Grill in Maumee. Dale's Bar and Grill is in historic Maumee, and you can catch all the college football action there, including UT's trip to Washington State, where you might see Dave in the crowd, hopefully with some people around him. Catch all the football action at Dale's, as well as NFL and MLB playoffs. Oh man, ALCS Game 7.
That'd be big.
Catch all the NFL and MLB playoffs at Dale's, one of the premier Buckeye bars in Northwest Ohio. Wolverines still welcome. Part of the Rivalry is also brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. Ready to transform your home? With Renewal by Anderson, buy one window or door and get 40% off. But only through the end of the year. Schedule your free consultation today at renewalbyanderson.com. Can you believe we only have 2.5 months left in the year?
It's crazy.
That seems crazy.
The halfway point
I think, as you know, I have a sunny disposition.
Yeah.
I'm a fair weather guy, and some may even say a fair weather fan. But I very much enjoyed the gray rain this Saturday afternoon and all of Sunday. I had been, it was like
your plants dying.
It was like a forgotten recipe, that taste.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. No, my garden is still thriving.
Okay.
I'm still getting peppers, and I have wild arugula growing. It's so spicy. You like arugula, Dave?
I do.
You're an arugula man?
Can I have some?
I'll
come over.
I have a bounty.
Do you sell it? Do you bring it to the farmer's market?
I don't sell it.
Okay.
After what happened.
Well, that's true.
Cut. All right, man.
Oh, boy.
I hope you have fun out there. Do
Godspeed.
you have anywhere can you go out to Washington State? You've never been there before?
I've not. Never been to the Pacific Northwest.
Do you have
That's the reason.
You've never even been out to the Pacific Northwest?
No.
Well, it's a lot like Sweden, which I know you
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Look forward to it.
Well, bring us back something, man.
All right. How about a win?
Tangible, physical,
Okay.
a talisman to represent the win when we gaze upon it.
All right. I don't think there's another name for Washington State. They call them like Wazoo, like Mizzou, but not.
That would be the answer.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that what we wanted? Wazoo?
That might have been what you're thinking of.
Is that where you take up the wazoo to get there? Hi-oh!
Washington State's going to take it up.